Okay, so continuing on yet again. Let's get rid of our person class. It served its purpose. We know how to make classes now. Okay, so most everything in C# is the same as Java. If statements, what have you, it all looks very similar. If you don't know how to do something in C# and you know how to do it in Java, just search, the Java term, like, how to use, or, Java scanner C#, and there'll be somebody, I assure you, that is tried to figure out how to go from Java to C#. So it's very easy to transition from one to the other. So what I want to do now is I want to explore some of Visual Studio's other features. So let's start with debugging features. Okay, so let's make an int. And we're just going to add a bunch of stuff to x, like this. Now, you'll notice that this wants us to use var everywhere. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of using that everywhere if we don't have to. Oh, I prefer to keep it only for very obvious types. So if we take a look at this, let's say we want to debug it. What we can do is we can set a breakpoint. We can either click over here to add one, or we can hit F9 if you're a keyboard shortcut person. So what we're going to do is we'll go ahead and hit the start, and you'll see it stops at the breakpoint. And this is a fun thing that they added in 2015. This is a profiler. It'll tell you, memory, CPU usage, and it'll keep snapshots of important events that happen, such as when the garbage collector is invoked. So this is a really handy tool. It's not super handy. It's more useful for telling you, when allocations occur, rather than when resource leaks occur, because unless you're explicitly calling garbage collector.collect, which you probably ought not be doing, the garbage collection is, of course, non-deterministic, so you don't know, just because something is being allocated doesn't mean that it's never being freed later. So let's take a look quick. Okay, so our terminal hasn't printed anything out yet. So if we look up at the top here are all of our navigation decisions. So we can stop the program. If the program is currently running, we can hit the continue button, F5, and we can, have it run to the next breakpoint. So okay, it goes to the next breakpoint, very good. If there was a long computation between them, we could pause it and it would stop, at whatever point it could. If we don't want to continue running the program, we can do stop debugging, or we can hit Shift F5. And we'll go over, you can step into. So this is just going to the next line, and it'll go into the function. So if we had a function call in here, we would go inside the body of the function and continue tracing there. Step over will step over the function, so we will not step inside the body of the function. Step out of, if you're inside of a function, it'll jump you out. So okay, these are F11, F10, Shift F11. These are probably the two you'll use the most. And we can still set more breakpoints if we wanted to. We could set one right here, we could turn them off. Here's where we currently are. The debugging tools are very simple, are very handy. We have a handy little call stack down here, that's nice. Here we have all of our, variables that we're using. See, this is highlighted in red because this is most recently changed. See, there are a lot of useful, data here, but we're not going to have to worry about most of that. So I'm going to hit F9 and remove that breakpoint. I'm going to hit F5 and let the program continue to completion, and we're done. And you see this keeps a real-time, snapshot of how much memory everything is using, so that's nice. And it keeps track of all these events too. We can jump back to them, but we're not going to have that complicated of a workflow. Okay. And see, it's still waiting on me to hit enter or F or G or whatever for a read key. But I'll show you as an example, just stop debugging. So okay, that just shuts down the process. Very good. Okay, so let's look at this stuff over here. You're not going to have to deal with most of the features in Visual Studio, but I'd like to go over some of the basic stuff over here quick. So in the very first video I described what a solution was. It basically just houses a bunch of projects. A solution has one main method that it calls to run. Over here we have our Hello World project. Each project has a single entry point. So see, the project actually owns this main. The solution sets a startup project. So it says, okay, I'm going to use the main that's located inside Hello World. Very good. We're not going to have to deal with properties probably, so I'm not going to really go into them. References, however, might be important, so we'll go over that. So let me show you what a multi-project workflow might look like. Again, I'm just right-clicking that, and rebuild might be important for you. If you're getting weird behavior and you think something should work, you might have stale DLLs and you might have to do a rebuild. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down here, we're going to add, and incidentally, if you want to add a new class, you would go to New Item. But here, we're going to add a full entire project. So okay, we're going to do just a... We could just do a class library, and this is just a bunch of classes, that's it. It turns into a DLL, but we're going to do a console application. We'll say console application 1, and we'll console.writeLine something here. We'll say hello from console 2. Now if you look, see how this is kind of a bolded text here and this is not? That's because this is our startup project. So if we hit start, you'll see that this ran our Hello World from our Hello World program. However, let's add a read key here quick, just so we can really see it in action. Oops. What we can do is we can right-click this, and we can set it as our startup project. And see, this is the bold one now. So if we hit start, you can see hello from console 2. There we go. So this allows us to easily change what we want to run on the fly. So you can see that a solution might just be a collection of projects over here. And we can have, just like libraries or what have you, common code. So it's really common for large-scale C# applications to be divided into multiple projects, and sometimes projects are reused across solutions. So it can be a handy way. It can be a handy way of segregating your code into related parts. Now, let's say I'm working on this. You can rename things. If I wanted to rename this, right-click rename, delete copy, all the basic operations that we would ever need are here. So really, we'll go over a few other things real quick. So over here, we have navigate backwards, and this is handy because it'll just jump to, whatever files we've been in before. We can pin programs over here too. In fact, you can pin most every window that that Visual Studio has. So if we pin this guy here, he's going to end up on the left. He's never going to go away. If we open a ton of windows, our pinned guys will always be on the left. So we can open this guy, and we can pin him as well if we want to. Or we can close him down. Another fun thing. We can drag these into a whole new window. So if you have multiple monitors, this might be useful for you. So see, this isn't even inside this main Visual Studio window anymore. And if we want to drag it back inside, we just slap it on there. We can also set bookmarks. So let's see. Did they remove bookmarks? I don't see them. There are bookmarks. You probably won't need them. I'm not going to worry about finding them. Also, another handy feature is comment and uncomment out code. Mine's a little further over because I have extra plugins, but comment out the selected lines, uncomment out the selected lines. Here we go. Here are bookmarks over here. Usually they're going to be about in the middle of your screen or so, but because I have extra junk, it's... Here, let me move these over here so you can see. Okay. So if I set a bookmark, see, it has a little flag over here. And then I can jump between bookmarks. See, I'm jumping between my 2 bookmarks, forward, backward. I can remove all bookmarks. I can toggle a bookmark again to remove just one. So those can be useful if you're going over a huge stretch of code and you want to just mark specific lines. Of course, our project probably won't be large enough for that to be super useful, so we'll worry about that. We're not going to worry about that so much. Okay, looks like I went a little bit over the YouTube time limit, so hopefully it'll be nice and let me upload this in one part.